this video, we will introduce the 5 strategies you can use online to help teach vocabulary. Each one can be adapted to any subject area, but you may find that some better lend themselves to one subject over another. It's up to you to determine what will work best for your particular vocabulary needs and time constraints. Each course module will introduce a separate activity or activity category. Some activities are grouped together because of how they are delivered in the LMS, or because they have similar procedures. While each of these activities can be set up to work with any online course, some require more setup beforehand. We will cover the pros of each one as well as any drawbacks. The strategies included in this course are the Foursquare Graphic Organizer, Media Albums and Glossaries, Sorts. This activity set includes word sorts, concept sorts, and expression or function sorts. You will learn about the strategy of mapping. This category includes root webs, semantic maps, and concept maps. Finally, a strategy called DRTA, the Directed Reading Thinking Activity. The first strategy you will focus on is the Foursquare Graphic Organizer. At a glance, the Foursquare Organizer is easy to adapt. This strategy uses Google Docs and is easily integrated into Schoology via Google Schoology Connected Assignment. This teacher-created tool can be easily reused in multiple lessons. All you have to do is swap out the vocab. It's easy to create and use for both students and teachers. It's also highly customizable and offers opportunities for scaffolding. Let's take a look at a Foursquare Organizer. In each section of the graphic organizer, students will define the term, identify one or more antonyms, use it in a sentence, and they may also write 3 non-examples. You can customize this to add synonyms. Another idea is to have students add a graphic or visual representation of the word. The next strategy involves graphic representations of vocabulary terms. In a brick-and-mortar classroom, this would resemble a student or teacher-created word wall. In our LMS, you instead will create a media album or glossary. This can also be done via the discussion board. It's a highly customizable activity, easy to use for students, but it does require a moderate amount of setup and pre-teaching. Here's an example of a media album created for AP Statistics. You as the teacher will have to create examples for the students, as well as consider pre-teaching will be necessary to show students how to enter their words. You will also need to consider that since media albums can't be graded, you'll need to do a little bit of a workaround in order to enter grades for this activity. Third is the strategy of sorts. This highly customizable activity mimics the hands-on manipulation students would use in a face-to-face classroom. This module will introduce word sorts, concept sorts, and expression and function sorts, a tool specifically for math class. The strategy uses Google Docs and Google Drawings, but it can also utilize Google Slides. It's a little bit more work to set it up. It requires pre-teaching and more time to design the sort, but once you've got your template, you can reuse it with any vocabulary list. You choose the categories. Here's an example of a word sort. We'll get into the mechanics of how to create the sort and teach it to students in the module on sorts. Next is the strategy of mapping. Due to the similar way these activities are completed, this module groups together a few activities. These are all great ways to visually organize and connect ideas. The types of maps in this module will be concept maps, semantic maps, and root webs. It uses Google Docs or Google Slides. You may decide to have students draw their root web, semantic map, or concept map by hand. This activity is easy to moderate depending on how you choose to set up your map. On the left, we have an example of a concept map. On the right, a root web. The root web focuses on the term phobia. The concept map discusses the topic of hidden bias. Students are asked to give examples. Similar to the Foursquare Organizer, define it, tell what it's like, and what it's not like. The final strategy is a DRTA, Directed Reading Thinking Activity. While this activity is often found in the social studies classroom, it can be connected to almost any subject area where you ask students to read and make predictions. In practice, it resembles a KWL activity or a double entry journal. This strategy uses Google Docs or can also be done in a discussion board. It's easy to use in a Google Doc and it's easy to use in a discussion board, but it does require the teacher to do a moderate amount of setup. As you learn more about these activities, you will see the amount of customization that's available to you as the teacher. Remember, the templates, guides, and samples for each module are already created. All you have to do to create an activity is add your vocabulary terms and the introductory materials the first time you present the activity to your students. Next, You'll learn how to choose the vocabulary for an activity. And you'll work through each individual module, which will focus on each strategy or strategy group.